Southern Miss with a pair of wins on Sunday will play on Monday with a chance to host the Super Regionals. It's Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz back with another edition of Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, Coastal Carolina has already advanced to the Super Regionals with a classic 1-0 victory over East Carolina. And then we'll get with a chance, the Sunbelt. What an opportunity as we're actually waiting for Southern Miss to turn a final. It's getting late here in Charleston, and we are getting up early to get to home. But as we speak, it is 17-6. And so we decided it just went final. So Southern Miss beats Miami 17-6 in the second ball game. They do explode for 9 runs in the first inning to put that one away early. So let's go back to the first ball game because these were two completely separate games and quite the pitcher's duel in the first ball game, although it did end up being 8-1, Southern Miss beating Columbia. And you got to give it up to Joe Schultz. Joe Schultz comes in with a 6.67 ERA, and it's 1-0, and it's bases loaded. And I think Joey Auburn was ahead in the count 3-0, ends up striking out. And this game could have spun out of control. I mean, it could have been 3-4, 5-0 before there was an out recorded. And don't you know it, Joe Schultz went like 5 innings before he gave up a run. He went into the 6th. And the only reason that Southern Miss was able to score a run in the 6th and the 7th was because of mistakes. And Southern Miss is certainly going to take it, but they just could not get runs home. Overall, in this ball game, with runners in scoring position, they were 3 for 18 with runners in scoring position in the ball game against Columbia. I think they had 4 hits. Well, this is going to be 4 hits all total in the regional. All right. And obviously Tucker Stockman's was the big one on Saturday, giving them the lead against Alabama. All right. So they have just not been able to get that big hit until Ben Higdon's 3-run home run turned a 3-1 ball game into a 6-1 ball game. And everyone could take a deep breath. Will point out on the other side, obviously, as much as Joe Schultz pitched well, so did Graydon Harris. I mean, 1 run on 4 base hits, 6 1/3 innings, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Columbia's got a good offense. Let's not kid ourselves. We saw what happened on Friday, right? I mean, they exploded for 11 runs. They didn't score too much after that, but they have a good offense. And what Graydon Harris did was impressive. All right, I'm not sure we could ask for more than that, although people did. That was impressive. And you're just looking for just to scratch some runs across, give them some breathing room. And finally, a couple of lines, mistakes, opened up the door. And then Higdon, with the 3-run blast, gave them the breathing room that they needed. They go on to win it 8-1. Okay. So now you got about an hour. I presume you shower. Maybe some superstitious guys don't. Change uniforms, grab something to eat and drink. It's a couple hours. Before the next game starts. And they explode for 9 runs in the first. Just a completely different outcome. They were, from what I saw and what I thought I heard, 4 base hits with runners in scoring position in the regional. I think that includes Ben Higdon's, because in my mind they had like two base hits with runners in scoring position coming into the game. And they had 2 in that ball game. They had 6. They were 6 for 7 at one point in time in the second game. They had 9 in the first. 1 more in the second. And then they did leave the bases loaded in the third. And you could just see the Southern Miss, faithful. Here we go again. It's not like we needed to add 5 more runs, but just a base hit makes it 12, right? 2 base hits makes it 14. But if you just keep on adding it, and then all of a sudden it's a 10-5 ball game, and it was a 10-5 ball game, I believe, with Miami having the bases loaded. 1 big base hit, and so 1-run ball game, 2 base hits, and you can make it a game. It never became a game. Miami never got back into it, and Southern Miss blows them out, and they make it a 17-6 victory. Okay. Now, Kobe Allen started that game against Miami. I like that idea. We're going to try and get off to a good start. He didn't need to get off to a good start with 9 runs on the board before he took them out. All right. And Southern Miss, as the host, will be the home team compared to what happened late on Sunday, because just the way those NCAA rules go. So they were the visiting team. Now they'll be the home team as the host, all right, in the final ball game. Now we'll see what Miami has. All right. Miami obviously didn't do well in their 3rd ball game. Let's see what happens in their 4th ball game. Let's see what Southern Miss has. All right. Miami was going with position players to get through this ball game on Sunday. Let's see what Southern Miss can pull out of their hat on Monday. Obviously, Southern Miss has the momentum. They just put up a 17 spot. All right. Miami is going to say, as we've talked about, rip up the lineup and forget about it and see if we can come back and win this. Again, the news of the day is, though, not only did Vanderbilt lose, that opens up the door for Southern Miss to host. Auburn is well on their way to winning their regional over NC State. They were winning 10-0 last I checked. And so Coastal Carolina, although advancing to the Supers, is going to go to Auburn. Southern Miss, with a win on Monday, can host the Super Regional in Hattiesburg. And it very well could be, and looks like it very well may be, as it turns out, Louisville, where I live, is heading to the Supers. They knocked off Vandy on Saturday, and then Wright State eliminated Vandy from the regional, and then Louisville is about to beat Wright State on Sunday night. So Louisville could be heading to Southern Miss. So one of those worlds collided type of situation. And my nephew Sam, who I've tried to get to go to Louisville baseball games for years now, is going to claim to be a Louisville fan all of a sudden. He's going to jump on those Cards bandwagons. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm not going to let him get away with that one. All right, just saying. I'm just saying. Nonetheless, it'll be nice to have those worlds colliding, and hopefully we'll do some crossover editions with them if that is the case. But again, we got to get there. All right. Louisville appears like they're going to get there. Southern Miss has to win one more ball game, but they've put themselves in position to do so. We said it was possible. It wasn't going to be easy, but you've put themselves in a spot where the other team now has to come up with some pitching as well, not only Southern Miss. All right, Southern Miss is going to get a good night's sleep. They've won 17-6. Miami has to think about it, how they're going to overcome that. When they had the chance to do it, they could not. I mean, think about that. Miami couldn't get to the plate before they were down 9-0 in the regional final. Now they are going to be in a position, I guess, to try and do the same thing, but we'll see what happens on Monday. Don't have a time yet. We'll find out that time probably first thing in the morning, or it could come out later on Sunday night. So we'll find out. All right. So Southern Miss, chance to host a regional final with a win, or a chance to host a super with a win on Monday. Meanwhile, Coastal Carolina is heading to the Supers. Let's talk about the Chanticleers when we come back. I'll tell you about them right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on some bourbon. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check all of your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Not sure how wise the Coke Zero is before bedtime, but it is what it is. All right, so Southern Miss with that 17-6 win after their 8-1 win, playing on Monday. Meanwhile, Coastal Carolina coming off a rout on Saturday night. Of course, we throw it out there, kind of tongue-in-cheek. My friend Kevin Foote, big baseball fan, we throw out there the Kevin Foote theory. When you score, keep on scoring runs after you don't need them. You don't score the next day. Well, we didn't take into account ECU also adding some runs when they didn't need them on top of the Florida ball game, and they did the same thing. Well, wouldn't you know it? Coastal Carolina scores 18 runs. ECU scored 11 runs. We get a 1-0 ball game. And that's exactly what we got. And this was, I don't think anybody's going to forget about this one anytime soon. How fast was this ball game? This ball game lasted 2 hours and 32 minutes. Coastal Carolina run on 5 base hits, 6 left on base. ECU, no runs, 5 base hits, 7 left on base. Riley Eichhoff, 7 1/3 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 punch-outs. Carbone, with an inning and 2/3, he gets the win because the run scored in the 8th. Picks up his 6th win of the year. Doesn't allow a base runner, strikes out 3. On the other side, Bradley Zayak, 1 outing, 1 run, 4 hits, 7 1/3 innings, a walk, and 4 punch-outs. The run comes home in the 8th inning. Will Sykes gets a base hit, takes second on a sac fly. Really poor throw from the East Carolina center fielder, like almost all the way back to first base. So there was no play at second. And I don't know who the guys doing the games are there. I should know that, but I don't. And he made a good point that, with a ball coming from center field, you can see the play right in front of you. If it's going to be a close play, you can turn around and go back. But he saw the ball going over his head, so he easily made it into second. Takes third on a wild pitch. I think that's when they took Zayak out, and he got a nice hand from not only the ECU fans, but the Coastal Carolina fans. I like when that happens. All right, my father taught me to do that when the other team pitcher, we would used to do it at any point in time because it's always kind of a sportsmanship type deal, but especially when they pitch well. And it's pretty cool when an opposing pitcher pitches really well in a tough spot, and he pitched really well, and it was just a 1-0 ball game, and that was it. And Coastal Carolina going to the Supers. They're going to go to Auburn. Auburn, again, unless something spectacular has happened here, they were leading NC State 10-0. So those two teams are going to line up. And it is, Auburn beat NC State 11-1. So Auburn's going to host Coastal Carolina. I used to follow Auburn being in Alabama. I have not recently. They're a fun team to watch. They really are. Butch Thompson does a fantastic job. They get overshadowed in the SEC, not so much because of Alabama baseball, but because of LSU baseball, because of Tennessee baseball, and because of Florida baseball. So they get overlooked. He runs a really solid program. They've been to some supers recently. They had a great run a couple of years ago. It's a good program. They put a lot of guys in the pros, but it's going to be a tough matchup for Coastal. But I also think it's going to be a tough matchup for Auburn. Jacob Morrison's going to have to pitch better. 4 runs in 5 innings ain't going to get done against Auburn. I'll tell you that right now. Both him and JB Middleton are going to have to step it up. Okay. A lot of excuse making for JB Middleton. Well, he's facing a tough lineup. Well, no kidding. It seems to me that Southern Miss fans really touchy. A little constructive criticism. And, I appreciate them backing up their guys. That's nice to see. I still don't think that JB Middleton pitched all that well. Again, I don't think he pitched badly, but I don't think he pitched very well. No, 5 runs in 7 innings is not pitching well. Sorry. I don't think it was. And the kid from Alabama hit his first home run of the season. Those 2 guys are going to get the ball. Yes, technically it's going to be short rest, but I presume both those guys are going to pitch on Friday. All right. They're going to pitch first game of the Super Regionals, I would think. And we're going to go from there. And, again, Alabama or Auburn. And if Southern Miss makes it, obviously, if Louisville's going to have a Friday night starter and Auburn's got a Friday night starter, and you got to match zeros, right? That's what you got to do. Hopefully you can hit enough. All right. Get enough offense because that Friday night starter is going to be pretty good. All right. It's not going to be like what happened with Southern Miss against Miami's third starter. That's probably not going to happen, right? Going into a Friday night, 2 or 3 runs is going to be usually good enough. All right. So we shall see what happens. I think it's going to be a good series. I'd be shocked if there's a sweep. In Coastal Carolina just has too many bats, too many guys in the lineup. And I mean, they got 3 really good pitchers, right? I have not followed Auburn at all. Hope to have a crossover edition with my guys over there. So we will get a solid preview of that. They do obviously a fantastic job. Locked On Auburn is one of the premier channels of the Locked On Network. So it'll be very exciting this week to preview that coming up. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Sun Belt because they already have 1 in the Supers. They have a chance to be another one in the Supers, and we got some maybe some group of 5s also doing some job. I mean, UTSA is beating Texas right now. I don't know if it's still going on. It's in the middle of the game. LSU will probably come back, but Little Rock is doubling up LSU, or at least they were when I started the podcast record. You can see it in the back there. It's on TV. All right. Sunbelt with a chance to impress. Already impressive with 1 in the Supers. We'll come back after I do. Thank everybody. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. All the feedback. Really do appreciate it. Do please check out the audio podcasts. Again, easy to do it when you're working out, when you're taking a walk, when you're doing the lawn, when you're heading to work. Something you can do without necessarily sitting down at the computer and needing to see this mug. All right. It's on all the podcasts, but specifically Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find it anywhere, but those are the 2 big ones that most people do find it at. So I do appreciate it. We're off to a great start in June already, but again, we set wasn't a record month in May, but our 3rd best month ever. So, and again, the longer Coastal plays and the longer Southern Miss plays, the more people that are going to pick up and listen to it. So looking forward to already previewing 1 Super Regional. We'll have a chance at previewing another super regional should Southern Miss get it done on Monday. So thank you so much. All right. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right. Chance to be something special. Kind of like we're at that Sweet 16 spot coming up in the NCAA Tournament. Outside of a couple of teams, when you're playing college basketball, you get to the final 16, you're having a really good season. And obviously, Coastal Carolina is having a great season. Fantastic, right? Like Vanderbilt's season is over, done. Thanks for coming. They were the number 1 seed. Texas, number 2 seed, gone. Thanks for coming. Georgia, gone. Thanks for coming. All gone. Let's see. Auburn is still with us. Let's see what LSU is doing. I presume LSU is going to win this ball game. It is 6-4. Little Rock in the 6th. LSU still got another ball game to go if they do lose this one. But we have seen plenty of the big boys lose. And I think that's the thing. Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina have the pitching to get this done. Coastal's bats have shown up, although oddly enough, they win a pitcher's duel 1-0. It's been the Southern Miss bats that have not shown up until the first inning against Miami. Like, that's the most impressive thing, is that they played, that they found themselves in a regional final, like with 4 base hits with runners in scoring position. That blows my mind. They had not played particularly well to get to the point that they got to. They kind of grinded it out, right? They got embarrassed in the first game. I don't think they took Columbia lightly. I know I did. I'll be the first to say it. I took Columbia lightly. I don't think they did. All right. The result may look like they did. I don't think they did. I think Columbia played well. All right. They took advantage of their opportunities. And they had one big inning, and they kept on piling it on. Southern Miss did not take advantage of their opportunities. And again, baseball's fluky. You can hit it squarely on the nose and make it out. You can make a good pitch and hit a flare, and it falls in, and run score. No, that's the difference between the sports. And that's kind of what happened on Friday night. But they grind it out. They come back and win the game on Saturday. Then they win 2 on Sunday, right? I mean, they were in the bottom half of the 8th inning, and they were losing the ball game to Alabama. And again, Rob Vaughn's going to have to explain on how you're walking a guy who's 2 for his last 23 to a guy who's hitting 330, but doesn't have a lot of RBIs. Even that's what he said. He's like, you can see my stats. I don't drive in a lot of runs. I didn't understand when he first said it that, you can see my stats. The stats look pretty good when you're hitting 330, but he doesn't drive in a lot of runs. Rob Vaughn's going to have to answer. Righty-lefty type situation, and I'm worried about the guy hitting at 400 feet. Going to have to answer for that. So despite not playing particularly well, they grinded out the win against Alabama, the win against Columbia, and then they, Ben Higdon just let everyone breathe with a 3-run home run. You don't have to worry about, the time, an error, a walk, a hit batsman, getting on, and all of a sudden the tying runs coming to the plate in the 9th. You have that breathing room. When it's 6-1, they did add a couple of runs to make it 8-1, so you don't have to worry about that at all. And then you just explode for 9 runs. You get to 10-0. It did get to 10-5, and Miami made it interesting, but you piled on after that. And then Miami put in some position players, so you got more runs after that. And if you pull this off, again, Coastal Carolina is going to Auburn. Louisville is going to be coming to Hattiesburg. If that's the case, they still are playing in the top half of the 9th inning over in Nashville. Louisville is the road team. Wright State is the home team. So they still got to play the bottom half of the 9th. But it is 6-0 Louisville. So again, Doesn't matter who comes out of that conference, out of that one. Southern Miss wins, Southern Miss is hosting. So how great would that be? Not only would you get 2 teams in the supers if Southern Miss wins, but one of them is going to be hosting. And then all of a sudden, Southern Miss is your favorite to be going to Omaha. Right? I mean, they went from Friday night losing 11-4, look, and down 5-4 in the 8th inning, looking like they were going to go 2 and barbecue, to now playing Monday with a chance to host a super regional and be the favorite to win it. Obviously, I mean, things change fast. And that's all great, because you do see, I mean, there is no love lost between Cajuns fans and Southern Miss fans, and the guys that I follow that are Cajuns fans are rooting for Southern Miss. There's no love lost between Cajuns fans and Coastal Carolina fans. They are still not over Coastal Carolina not playing that Sun Belt Championship game. They're rooting for Coastal Carolina. All right. You don't get that. You don't get that in the Sun Belt. You don't get that in the SEC. All right. There's no SEC fans rooting for the other schools that they're not in. Right. No. No, there's none of that. All right. Sun Belt fans, for the most part, are rooting for the other Sun Belt teams. That's for sure. And even the other, G5 teams, they're rooting for UTSA. They're rooting for Wright State, right? They're rooting for the little guys, because we've all been there and we want some respect. And, we got a whole podcast, probably can do a whole podcast if I can figure out what they're trying to do with the football thing. I'll do one. But they're just trying to fix it for the big guys. And that's when I say you don't want to be top 50 in the RPI. You need to be top 40, because if they get a chance to screw you, they got a chance to screw you. They're going to take advantage of that. You can't let them do that. All right. That's a different story. We've been through that already. But it's such a great opportunity. Coastal's already in. Southern Miss, you got to get the lead again, and then see if you can manage to figure out 27 outs. All right. It is all hands on deck. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see Tuesday. See, I would presume JB Middleton's throw day is Tuesday. He pitched on Saturday. I think his throw day would be Tuesday. But you want him to pitch on Monday, and you want him to pitch on Friday. Although there could be, because they're playing on Monday, Southern Miss could have a super regional that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's always a couple of regionals that are Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So they could host. So what you could see is JB give you 1 inning. All right. 20 pitches, something like that. Again, here's the other thing. Again, I don't want to push it. Christian Ostrander is not going to risk injury for Southern Miss to get to the supers in Omaha. All right. He's going to make millions of dollars here in a couple of months, as much as we're looking, 3 feet in front of us. Christian Ostrander is going to take the big picture when it comes to JB Middleton, and we can't blame him for anything. However, if there's an opportunity and JB says, I've got 3 outs in me, if you need me for 3 outs somewhere here today, I got 3 outs with me. I wouldn't be surprised about that. I don't even know if we need to push it for 6 or 9 outs, but because if we win, we need you on Saturday. So I think that's the way it's going to go. But you got to get that lead like they did, and then manage to get 27 outs. And they're in good shape to host a super regional. It'll be amazing and be a favorite to go to Omaha. So I think the Sun Belt has a chance to really impress with a Southern Miss victory on Monday. And that would be 2 of the top 16 teams in the nation being from the Sun Belt. All right. Thank you so much. We may have 2 episodes, because I got a football episode, or the football episode may wait until Wednesday is what's probably going to happen. Brian Smith's going to come on, and we're going to talk recruiting, all of the Power 5 schools that have taken G5T players. So I'm going to record it on Monday. So we could probably do that on Wednesday. And we'll probably just recap what happens on Monday, on Tuesday, and then Thursday and Friday, we'll do some previews. All right. Some crossover opportunities. Hopefully that'll be the case. All right. We'll see what schedules people have. But thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. It was a fantastic weekend. We'll see what Southern Miss can pull off on Monday. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Hope you had a great weekend and enjoy the game on Monday.